Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? I'm gonna give everyone like one more minute for people to join and then we'll get started very soon. Hey, Chris.
Are you gonna sing us a song while we wait?
Maybe. What song are you looking for? Any request?
Maybe the Coco Melon theme song.
Yeah, maybe. Well, how about this? If we hit certain milestone, I will do that. I will take a karaoke song order from any of the participants.
Nice.
All right, sounds good.
I think we can probably jump in and get started.
All right, sounds good. Oh, we have a few more people going in. All right, let's get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Hicken. I am co-founder and chief feedback officer at Bayset.
Hi, everybody. My name's Chris Hicken. As you can tell by the last names, we are married, building our fourth company together. We're both former user testing folks, and we're taking advantage of this new AI technology to help companies get feedback in really cool, new, and interesting ways that we never possible before when we were at user testing. So we'll show you how it works today. A few housekeeping items. We're going to we're intentionally doing a couple of very small webinars. We expect, to keep it under 25 people. If you have questions, feel free to just drop them in the webinar chat, or the Q&A section. So just drop the questions and we'll take the questions as we go. And with that, Lihong, let me start
Yeah,
about some of the problems with existing way that customers get feedback. Oh yeah, okay. So really quick on agenda, we'll take the first couple of minutes just talking about the different ways to gather feedback, just so that we're all on the same page about the different ways you can gather feedback today. And then we're gonna actually go through some actual use cases of how you use AI practically. How do you use AI to gather feedback from customers and why it's even worth getting AI feedback in the first place? And we'll do some Q&A at the end, but feel free to ask questions as we go. So let's jump to the next slide.
yep,
This is kind of the way to think about gathering feedback from customers is via this quadrant. And the way that you should think about gathering feedback is you need to understand quantitatively, you need to understand the what for customers, and you need to understand qualitatively the why. So that's the horizontal axis. And then on the vertical axis, you want to understand both what customers say, so their opinions and their beliefs, but also what they actually do, which is their behaviors. So if you're going to quantitatively understand what customers say, that's going to be a survey. And if you're going to qualitatively understand what people say, it's going to be an interview or a focus group. And then if you're going to quantitatively understand what people do, it's going to be like user analytics. Think something like Mixpanel or Pendo. And then if you want to qualitatively, so if you understand why people are doing what they're doing, you're going to do user testing. So I was the fifth employee at usertesting.com, built that company to just shy of 100 million in sales. One of our biggest challenges at user testing was that people loved the qualitative insights, so they love being able to see why people are getting stuck, why they're frustrated, what their pain points are, but they wanted to get that at scale, and that was never possible at user testing. And I guess the reason for that is somewhat obvious. If everyone everyone who's listening in, if you think about, how many interviews can you do in a week, or how many user testing videos can you watch in a week? Not very many. So you can get rich qualitative insights using traditional methods, but not at scale. And so that's the key unlock for AI. I think that's the key point for everyone here to understand is that with AI, instead of having a human speaking to customers, you can have AI speaking to customers. So you can get that rich qualitative insight from customers, but now you can get it at scale. So you can do hundreds or thousands of these conversations with customers in a given week. And so that's the key unlock here for AI. That's what we're trying to drive towards is make it really easy to not have stiff surveys or a small number of conversations, but have many conversations with customers at scale.
yeah, Chris. Would you slow down a little bit and then kind of use a simple example to explain to people what is quantitative
Yeah.
versus qualitative, as just so people can see the difference?
Yeah, I think a good example of this that most people can relate to is NPS. So NPS would be something that you do via a survey, and the return that what you get back, the output of an NPS survey is a score, which is your overall NPS score. And your
Yeah,
NPS
it's like
score,
how likely are you going to recommend XYZ company to your friends or coworkers, family? Everybody probably do that. NPS is a net promoter score. It's how likely you're gonna recommend. And then the score, that number is the quantitative data. Anything you can count, that's quant.
yeah.
Yeah.
And another example of that would be your customer satisfaction score or your CSAT score. So you would ask customers overall, how satisfied are you with your experience? Everyone has gotten that question in their lifetime. And again, that will give you a score. The problem, of course, is that you can see the score move up and down. You just don't know why. So you're missing the qualitative insight, like why is it happening? I know what's happening, but I don't know why. So, and then if you do an interview, everyone's done an interview in their life. So on an interview, you can interview two or three people, but you don't know if those two or three people represent all of your customers or not. So you can't make any decisions off of those three interviews. So the interview is the really rich qualitative insight, and the survey is the data. It's the what? It's the score. And so we want to marry those two together.
Got it. Right. Should we move on?
Let's move on. Yeah. By the way, any
Yeah.
questions so far? Here's a list of like the some of the bigger companies that are in each of these category companies that you may have used in the past to gather insights in these quadrants. Do we have any questions on this? Otherwise,
Move on.
we can move on. Okay, let's move on.
Oh, did I move on too fast?
No, that's okay. Next slide is
Yeah.
fine.
Well, go ahead. Yeah.
I think the the last important thing to note is when you can do conversations with customers at scale, it opens up a ton of use cases that you probably aren't thinking about already today of where you can and should be having conversations with customers. Today we're focusing heavily on the EPD use cases, so the product engineering and design use cases, which is the top row that's highlighted here. But there are many use cases. So sales and marketing should be listening to customers in a specific way. HR should be listening to employees. Founders should be listening to the market. Services and support people will also are listening to customers, but from a different perspective. And so what we're going to do today is, obviously we don't have time to go through all of these use cases, but today we're going to dive into two of these use cases in a little bit more detail on how you actually use AI to gather feedback in these specific cases. And so the ones that we're going to look at today are product feedback. So we're going to do a faux product feedback interview, and we're going to do a post onboarding interview, which is Lihang, if you can highlight it in the bottom left there. So we're actually going to set those up and look at the results together on those right now. Yep.
Yeah,
So the
totally.
onboarding survey and then the
Oh.
product feedback survey. So I think that's it for this slide, Lihang. Is there anything else that you want to add before we jump in?
Yeah, I wanted to share a story when people tell me about, the qualitative versus quantitative. So I talk to customers quite a lot, and they tell me something called the NPS season. I was like, what is the NPS season? So it's like, okay, our company does NPS once a year, and then when we get the responses, there's a bunch of like under five. And then basically my customer facing team had to stop everything they're doing and call each customer. Why did you give us a five? Why did you give us a two? Why did you give us a one? And it just kind of block all of our other work, just trying to figure out why. That's called a 2 week NPS season. You might have other, survey season as well. So our approach is like, why do you follow up with the customer a week, 2 weeks later when they are not there? If you use the AI to follow up dynamically, you get the answer from the customers right there, right then. So you don't need to figure out why they say that. So you can actually take action on those feedback. So I want to share that some funny story that our customers share with us. Okay, sounds good. Without further ado, I'll up Chris, would you watch the chat channel, see if anyone coming
Yeah,
with questions? Well, show people this.
I think
So
everyone wants to see it in action, so let's do it.
let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to show you a let me just close that. I'm going to show you how to create a product feedback. So when you log into LayStat created account, the AI learns about your business. So this is what the AI learns about our business from our company's website. I won't show more detail. Once you do that, you will see your company as well. And I will actually create a project. As you can see here, there's many different projects I can do. There's polls, it's one question, dive deep conversation. So I will use that for NPS, CSAT question, or simple customer journey feedback. Basically, it's like a quick heartbeat check of how customers are feeling. So on these ones, I'll ask frequently, but I'll ask one question only and dive deep. For today's product feedback, I'm going to create a survey. In the future webinars, I'll talk about use case of polling and interview as well. So today I will do a survey, and it comes up with the AI prompt to help you set up your survey questions. So I'm going to tell you, I want to learn why customers, what is customers' product experience with they said, and what can we improve. So keep it very open and general, and then see what the AI will generate. So I'm gonna go call it product feedback. Feedback. Okay, you can see here AI has generated a set of questions. So I'm gonna turn off the reorder sign so you can see all these 4 questions in one screen. It's asking me, how would you rate your overall experience with LayStat product? What features of LayStat do you find most valuable? It's actually a pretty good question, right? What improvement would you suggest? And then there's a ranking question. So in here, you can see here, how would you rate the overall experience with LayStat? This is a quantitative number, so I can get a score. But then you can actually configure to have AI ask follow-up questions. This is when I said, like, instead of a human manually reach out during the survey season to ask why, the AI will dive in and follow up on the spot. So I'm going to do one follow-up question here. And then this one is asked about the features. Because the AI knows our business, so when it's asking a multiple choice question, it's actually kind of come up with some options for me as well. It's kind of nice. We can actually change that. And then there's an open-ended question like this. So imagine if you like what the question is, and the next step is to go publish. So to get the survey out, there is 4 different methods for you to go out and gather these feedback. And these 4 methods can be used simultaneously. So you can actually gather feedback from 4 different channels at the same time. You don't have to limit to one. So the most common one is to copy the link and send it through email, chat, linking message, all the other methods. And then the second one is through an email. So I will show you example later on. So let's say you have a CRM that you wanted to send your NPS question or something to your customers regularly. I usually put it in my CRM. And the benefit of that is you can see here on the right here, the survey, the first question of the survey will show up in the email template. So when they click on it, you can see it actually increase your response rate to do that. So that's one thing. And then for product feedback, it's very common that you will have a pop-up, either pop up in like a chat widget style on the corner, or you can fly out. You can design however the user experience can be. You could also do a block where it's part of your website or part of your app where people can engage there as well. So for the pop-up option, we oftentimes see people say, "Hey, what if I wanted to pop up in my website?" You can, in our product, you can do that. I will show you a couple of different ways. One is put in the code into the certain page that you wanted to pop up. The other way is no code option, which is if you have used other product uses tools like Pando, Mixpanel, Walk Me Through, or Intercom, these tools will have some pop-up communication with the customers. So you can actually swap out the pop-up message with the they set survey. So for example, I want to say, I only want to show this question to people who use our new AI feature in the last 3 months, more than 3 times. You can do that using one of these product users tool and do that.
Hey, Lehan, I just want to jump in. It looks like for some reason the chat is disabled for some people on the webinar, so that they're not able to type their questions. If everyone goes to the bottom, there should be a button that says Q&A. So you're welcome to use the Q&A feature to add your questions there as they come up. So just heads up on that.
Thanks for noticing that. Very good. Well, for first webinar, there's also some kinks. We'll work on for the future ones. All right. I will continue on the last one, which is the QR code on this. So this is a pretty common one. If you have a webinar, if you do a presentation, we usually do QR code. This is one of my favorite way to conduct the feedback because I can actually use my phone's voice to speech function and I talk to the survey. I don't need to type. So that's really neat and increase my speed. We'll show the example at the end of our webinar where we will gather feedback there. Chris, would it be helpful if I show people how I push this product usage, product survey and put it into Hotspot?
Yes, but before we do that, I think you should
Mhm.
just show people an example. Like if someone was going to take this survey, what does it actually look like from the customer's perspective?
Yeah, totally. So that's what it looked like from a customer perspective.
Yeah, should we just go and maybe answer a question or two so people can kind of get a sense of the conversational nature of
Yeah,
the AI?
yeah. And so can you share okay? I'm getting the quality of an interview, uh, but uh, at the scale of a survey, this is awesome. Okay.
So yeah, I think the highlight here is that you are asking a quantitative question like the rating scale question, but then the AI wants to understand why you answered the way that you did. So it asked a probing follow-up question to understand why. And it looks like it has enough information. So now it's moving on to the next question because it understood your response. But if it didn't understand your response, it would continue to ask a couple of more follow-up questions until it really understood why you were saying what you're saying.
And, um,
So in this case, you asked a multiple choice question, which was it says, are there any specific features of they said that you find particularly valuable? And you said response analysis. And now it's asking what is it about response analysis that you find valuable? So I think that's good enough. So people can get a sense now of it's a conversation. So you can ask survey-like questions, but really it's a conversation with AI where it's digging deep and probing and asking questions.
great. Sounds good.
Cool.
All right.
Cool.
Cool. So now that you understand what it is, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to deliver these into that. So I don't think I need to show example of link. Anyone know how to do that. A lot of people use this hotspot for CRM. So I'll use this as an example
Hey,
for
Leon,
hotspot.
actually,
Yeah.
before you move on, Aston asked
Oh,
at the end of the
cool.
survey if
Yeah.
someone wants to say like rate it, like for example, if someone's really happy with the company and they had a great experience, can you prompt the user to rate us on Google, for example?
Oh yeah, that's great. I actually so this is called a call to action. I actually doing it today. So you can see here on the advanced setting here, you can have a custom thank you and custom redirect URL. So for this, we're working on a conditional logic feature, which if the sentiment for the customer overall is very high, you will put in your company's URL, the Google review page here, and then the dataset AI will redirect them to the Google review page. If the sentiment is low, then you can say, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear your experience. We would love to talk to you. Our CPO would love to talk to you about your experience using our product." So you can say conditionally direct people to take different action based on that sentiment.
Yeah, the feature is actually even cooler than that because what the AI does is it scans the user's responses and it gives them a template review. It writes a template review for them that they can edit. So all they have to do is copy and paste the review that AI wrote for them, and then they go to
Yeah.
Google, copy and paste it.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's basically like based on what the customer said
Yep.
on here. So they don't need to create the review themselves. The AI will create it, the draft for them.
Yeah, don't make the user do any work. The user already gave you the
Ah,
feedback. So the way that the feature works is that AI will write the review for you based on what you already said, and you just copy and paste that into Google.
oh, I love it. I'm like, when can we have this? Because I'm
It's
looking
coming. It's
for
coming.
like,
It's
I,
coming soon. It's coming soon.
okay. Then I'll have automate this part of the G2 review and Capterra review because I'm doing this manually. This is amazing. I love it. Okay. Okay. Can I ask you a question, Chris? Can it also based on the sentiment kind of create a customer testimonial for me? Like I was going to all my result and search all of the data and see all the customer testimony. Anyone who's good, have good quote, can we pull it out and create
Yeah,
customer testimony?
yeah. So the feature name is called conditional logic, but basically what conditional logic does is it lets you send people down different paths depending on how they responded to your survey or how they answered your open-ended question. And so if the sentiment is very positive, you can do a number of different things. You don't have to redirect them to Google. You could instead say, hey, based on our conversation so far, this is the testimonial I'd love to use. Do I have your permission to use that testimonial? Or would you be willing to speak with us for 5 minutes to get a testimonial? So yeah, you can using conditional logic, you can decide what you want the user's path to be depending on their answers.
Okay, sounds good. Chris, we have about 7 minutes. Let's move on quickly so we can actually get this done
Yeah.
quickly.
Yep.
Can you, so you guys can see my screen. So to send the surveys using the hotspot, you go to the sales, the hotspot one, and go to marketing and click on email. And then you'll be able to create an email template. As you can see here, you can decide to have that. And this part is the survey part. What you would do is you put in the HTML code and then copy paste that code you got from Layset, and this will show up here. So that's quite simple. It literally takes 5 seconds to get it done. I typically create these email templates and then I put it in a sequence. So I have the first one here, and then I'll 3 business days later, I will send a follow up. Another 3 business days later, I will send another follow up.
Yeah.
So those are the three email template you can do.
Yep.
All
Great.
right. Chris, there is a question coming in.
Yeah,
What would
Chad.
you
Yeah,
yeah.
Chad asked what the three biggest business problems are that we solve for. So, Chad, there's probably the most painful problems are around customer retention, customer acquisition, and customer growth. What I mean by that is many times companies have a churn problem in a certain segment of their business. So either there's bad product market fit, or customers aren't engaging with the product, or they're churning. But many times customers have no idea why that's happening, and it's very, very difficult to get that information or data at scale. And so one of the big problems that we solve for companies is how do you retain more of your users or, and support, your customers. So one big one is customer retention. The other one is around customer acquisition. So, for example, in sales teams, they're oftentimes losing deals, but it's not clear why exactly the deal got lost, especially when there are many stakeholders in the deal. So, what you can do in that case is you can send out interviews or surveys to all the different people who are involved in the deal and get their feedback so you can understand why exactly a deal didn't happen. And then the last one is looking for growth opportunities. So if as a habit, you can as a company be consistently asking for opportunities to add more value to customers. So that could be a product upsell, it could be additional services, it could be introducing new features. If you can include those as part of conversations with customers, the way that you would like any sales conversation, if you can do that, it uncovers tons of different ways to grow existing accounts and find opportunities. So those are the three like biggest business problems, and the way that you uncover those, the next step as a business is to really deeply understand what customers think or what they believe.
So, Chris, to summarize, all the three big problems is related to money. One is how do we keep the money and grow more from existing customer. The other one is figure out from the people who are about to buy but didn't buy, why did they not buy? And then three is creating demand. So, hey, maybe surveys are not sexy, but at least they generate revenue, huh?
Exactly.
Cool. We have the remaining time. Chris, you want to show the reporting part because a lot of people
Let's
really want to see
Yeah,
that,
let's
and
do
then
that.
do we go into the
Can you stop
okay.
sharing?
Yeah, I can stop sharing. You can do that last.
All right. So the last thing that we want to look at together is how do you use AI to gather, to look at and uncover insights or action opportunities from this like unstructured qualitative data. And turns out it's actually quite difficult to do. You can't just drop stuff into Chat GPT and get valuable insights. We give you four tabs to analyze results. The first one is just basic analytics about how people responded. Any survey company offers this. That's not very interesting. Insights starts to become really interesting. So what at the top, the one sentence about what you wanted to learn is at the top here. And then AI, based on everything it's learned so far, will give you a one sentence summary of what you learned so far. And it backs it up by showing you a list of themes or trends that it's uncovered from the responses, including the sentiment. So, for example, this is a sample, Salesforce onboarding interview, and there are a lot of customization comments and problems. So when you click on one of these themes, it'll show you the actual voice of the customer, so that the comment that the customer made. And if you need a little bit more context, you can click in on any of these comments, and it will show you the conversation, so you can see the customer's comment in context, which helps you really understand quickly what customers are saying and why. So that's insights. AI is scanning each conversation looking for action items. So these are things that you should probably do as a result of the conversation. This could be things like create a product ticket or schedule time for more training or create a ticket in the customer support queue. So for each customer conversation, we're giving you suggested action items. AI is doing that. And then the last screen is where we let you look at all of the conversations, where you can see the sentiment, overall sentiment of that conversation, and a one-line summary of what happened in that conversation. And it just lets you hone in. Like, you might not have time to look through 50 conversations, but you might have time to read five. So this would be a way for you to figure out which five conversations you want to look at quickly, again, to better connect with the customer's experience. So I gave that was very much a power walkthrough of the AI capabilities of the product, but I think it gives you a sense of how you can use AI to both ask customer questions and then use AI to analyze the results in a very effective way. All right. I think we're at time now. If there's any last minute questions, we can go ahead and answer them. Otherwise, we will, yep. Oh, Lihan, go ahead.
So there's a bunch of questions on the comment there, so we'll answer that. But at the same time, if you don't have questions, want to give us feedback, scan this QR code and experience this with your first hand. One question, let me see, did I have we have two questions coming in, Chris, when you are presenting. Ashton asks, can a survey be facilitated through linking, like a post, a direct message? Say I want to, for example, generate feedback on my industry or a particular vertical within it. Can I target people business on linking with these surveys?
Yep. Yeah. So yes, you can. And there are a couple of different ways to do that. I published probably a dozen of my own surveys on LinkedIn. Probably the easiest way to do that is to just pose the question um, as the first sentence of your LinkedIn post, and the second line is a link to the actual survey or the conversation where people give feedback. And you'll get many more responses if you also include an image that highlights the question that you're trying to answer. So, yeah, you can absolutely do it. We do it all the time. We published a poll, a couple of weeks ago, and it got 150 responses. So, yeah, you can absolutely use LinkedIn as a way to gather feedback.
Right. Another question is like, oh, Ashton said, awesome. I look forward to the remaining section. So we're doing this experiment and sharing our learning about using AI to get feedback. So this week is all about how to get feedback from existing customers, knowing them like product feedback, NPS, customer life cycle surveys. Next week, we're gonna go more into the prospect, potential customers. Why did they not buy? Using AI to figure out information about key information directly from the buyers. Why did they not buy? And I would say I've done some for our customers. My first reaction is it is freaking better than I imagined. And my first thoughts is like, I want more of it. How do I get more of it? And win loss, it is really, really valuable, but traditional win loss analysis is very expensive and very unaffordable. So we're trying to use AI to make it scalable and affordable. So now that smaller companies can finally afford win-loss analysis, I would say if you are in sales enablement, if you're in product marketing, if you're a founder trying to get product market fit, this is next week you're probably gonna have the life-changing event of webinar. Anyway, maybe I said too much. So if
Oh,
you know
that's a good
anyone
promise.
who want to know about this, you should share the event every Wednesday, 12 noon Pacific time. We'll do one webinar. It's targeting on different things. So looking forward to see everyone there. And if you can make it, we'll send you a recording as well.
Yep. Everyone who joined gets a copy of the recording. Thanks everyone for joining today. Thanks for the questions, and have a great rest of the week.
Okay. Oh, we did miss out a question here. It says, is there any limitation on the number of questions, length of the surveys?
Yeah, very short answer is no, no limitation. Although it comes with a caveat, the longer the interviewer survey, the less likely it is that someone will get through all of it.
Yeah. I would say don't do one of those like a very boring form, multiple choice rating scale all along. It's like just get your brain dead. Make it conversational. I typically see like if you put in the most I have seen 7 to 8 questions, I have timed it. It take about 5 minutes on a laptop, about 3 minutes on the phone if you keep it like maximum 7 or 8 questions. I typically do 3 to 4 questions with 1 or 2 AI follow up. That's about 2 minute maximum. All right. Thank you everyone for the time. We'll
Yep.
see you next
Thanks,
week.
everybody.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.